they say they needed anything back early on this? Did they tell you if they needed anything back early on this?
I woke up this morning to an email that said, go to this address. I'm so sorry. They never tell me anything, so. That's all right. Not good. Okay. Well, forward to learning. Oh my God. Something.
Well, good morning. I have a couple copies here, and I'm counting around the room. I don't know if I got enough copies, so I'm going to lay this up here. If you're short, one of these fellows here will get you an extra copy if we're short of these. So I think I made 9 or 10. So first, thanks for coming in this morning. I know you've been waiting since yesterday evening to kind of to get to this point for us to give you a statement. It was a little late last night. The team was working well into the hours, late into the hours. So let me first read a statement to you from the department, and then I'll make a couple comments, and then I'll open it up to some questions. So first, between 5 and 6 p.m. last night, the Whitehall Division of Police Detective Bureau executed an arrest warrant and a search warrant at the residence of Whitehall resident Gerald Dixon. Dixon was taken into custody without incident and has been formally charged with felony compelling prostitution and felony gross sexual imposition. Additional charges may be forthcoming as the investigation continues. This arrest is the culmination of a long-term, multi-state investigation initiated after allegations were first brought to our attention in late 2020, early 2021. Mr. Dixon was alleged to have engaged in an inappropriate conduct with juvenile males. As detectives pursued these allegations, the scope of the investigation expanded through Ohio, into New York, and into Michigan. Throughout this effort, numerous individuals disclosed interactions and behaviors that would lead a reasonable person to believe they were being groomed for sexual exploitation. As interviews progressed, individuals often identified others with similar experiences. Ultimately, investigators identified several persons exhibiting signs consistent with both mental and physical sexual victimization. Some victims were too emotionally impacted to share their full experience. Others provided detailed accounts of inappropriate requests, including situations interrupted by vigilant parents, as well as incidents in which Dixon allegedly paid an underage and cognitively impaired individual for sexually explicit acts. To date, we have interviewed 8 individuals connected to the investigations with age of initiation of about 14 years old. During the execution of the search warrant, detectives seized electronic devices from the residence, along with a significant amount of explicit material and writings. These devices will be analyzed in partnership with the FBI and BCI. We want to express our sincere appreciation to the FBI for exceptionally swift, thorough, and professional support in this case. Their collaboration has been instrumental in advancing this investigation in a timely and effective manner. At this time, we believe there may be additional victims who have not yet been identified. We urge anyone who may have been harmed or anyone with information relevant to this case to contact the Whitehall Division of Police and to ask to speak to one of our detectives. With Mr. Dixon now in custody, it is safe for these victims to come forward. We also want to emphasize that our priority is the well-being of these victims. We ask that the media and the public respect their privacy. This investigation is focused on supporting survivors, preventing further harm, and ensuring that no one is re-victimized through exposure or speculation. With that said, I will give you a couple comments and then open it up to questions. First and foremost, sitting behind me, come out of the room of the office where several of these youth said that they had been taken into, had been in that room. There was a lot of other things that I can't show you. Additionally, I'm going to ask you first. I know some of you might start zooming, so I'm going to ask you not to zoom because we haven't identified these people, right? Help you? Okay.
We need to move it a little bit so that we can get it, because some of the words are very offensive.
You want it out of the camera view?
Yes.
All right. Or you can blur it, or whichever you want to do. Yeah, some of the words are somewhat explicit. So that was, when you walked into the room, that was up against the wall. Additionally, on an easel with this photo here. Initially, that didn't mean much to us until we dug deeper and realized this was the original victim that we first spoke to from 1996. We have spoken to him. He's emotionally distraught, doesn't want to talk about this much. This picture next to his 1996 photo was just recently drawn on the easel by Mr. Dixon in the last year. It's the obsession with the youth that we are focused on, and the concern that we have that this is a much broader issue than what we already have, but we have enough as it stands. So with that said, I'm trying really hard not to have to go into the explicit details. In fact, I won't give you explicit details of things that were paid for, acts that were paid for. They're quite disgusting, but we have evidence of it, and we have recordings, and we asked the FBI's experts to help us with the interviews. That said, I'll open it up to any questions.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. The piece of evidence, this is a piece of evidence that was taken from his home, is that what you're saying?
From it, correct.
And so are these children in these pictures alleged victims, or just pictures that he had that...
His artwork, I think. We don't know. We haven't talked to him on that. We haven't answered those questions. That's why I'm asking you not to zoom in on them, because they could be victims. We're not sure. But they are sort of those materials, if you're familiar with people who do what's referred to as grooming of youth, These are the types of things you'll find in those offices. That's what makes this evidence for us. It's evidence that on the low end that I can bring out here. I'm not bringing out the big stuff.
What's your reaction to these crimes that he's committed, especially when folks might have previously seen him as a leader in the community?
Well, that's a great question because that's a two-part answer. The first thing is you ask what's my reaction, which is it the same every time I see these types of things. It's disgusting. We have a problem in our nation with this kind of problem, from human trafficking to exploiting children to you name it. Generally, these people it doesn't start in a vacuum, right? Something usually has happened to them as well, which we have strong evidence of that as well. And as far as the question about leadership, yeah, I mean, everybody has an image of what you're supposed to represent. Whitehall stands for a specific thing, and so with that person sitting in a position of authority, it not only creates a sort of a bad image for leadership in general, government in general, but it also sends a strong message to the victims. Like, this is a powerful guy, and that was brought up to us a few times.
The victims are from New York, Ohio, and Michigan. Do you believe it's local victims from Ohio, and the New York and Michigan victims, how did they get here?
They were originally local here. Mr. Dixon is involved in art and involved in theater, I believe, and almost all of them are interested in that same topic, and that's sort of the crux or the things that brings them in.
How did the first victim come forward?
The first victim didn't come forward on their own. Family members and friends brought it to our attention.
How old was Dixon when this started?
I have no idea.
How old is he now?
I'm not sure. How old is he? What's 64.
And when did this investigation start?
The official part of it started probably the end of 23, maybe middle of 23. It was brought to our attention. The way these things kind of work, and I'm sure I don't want to say things you don't already know, but the way these things work is you generally will get someone who will tell you something, and you'll hear phrases like, it just seems weird, or something just doesn't seem right. That was the end of 2020, early 2021. A consistent complaint and concern with youth selling water bottles. This seemed benign. He just didn't like them selling water bottles. But then it became not that. It became multiple calls to the police department about these kids selling water bottles, and turning out some of the kids saying that they were working for him, and then he got mad because they wouldn't work for him anymore. And then hindsight 2020, we now know what that was about. But at the time, that's how those things sort of start. So you don't initiate an actual investigation in 2021 or 2020 until you start getting people telling you, hey, there's more to this. Then we went back to those cases, and that's what led us to probably the most severe one we have right now.
Did Dixon act alone, or are there other adults that will be involved in this?
We don't know.
You showed us pieces of these artwork when you went into his residence. Was there a large abundance of these pieces of art involving minors and children?
There was a lot of stuff, and I think the way the detectives told me or sort of relayed it to me was it was more like a hoarder house with a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of writings, years worth of journaling writings and things of that nature.
Do you know how far back this went and roughly how many victims could be involved?
We know that at the very minimum, we believe this goes at least back to 1996 era. The number of victims, that's what we're asking. We're asking for your help. Generally, if you followed a few of these types of cases, it starts off slow. People start hearing about it. They feel safe. Some people feel safe to come forward. They come forward, and then we start getting a ton more stuff. Additionally, we did a search warrant, so we have more things that will need to be digital forensics will have to be done with them, and we want to get some assistance with ICAC, FBI, BCI team to help us with that.
How confident are you in the evidence about this case? I mean, we're talking about a public leader here in Whitehall.
I wouldn't be standing here if I wasn't 100% positive. 100%.
Do any of the allegations relate at all to his work on city council, and is there any evidence that he abused his position of power?
I have no evidence of that. some of the potential victims were often mentioning to us, concerned that he was going to be mayor. So they brought it up themselves. I don't know if that's something they just thought on their own or if that was what was told to them. We need further investigation and assistance with that, which we'll still work on. I have no evidence that I'm aware of anything associated with council in this issue.
When did the FBI get involved?
We called them a couple weeks ago, I think. A couple weeks ago. When we started talking, one of these victims is cognitively impaired. And while I have great detectives, they're not super skilled at pulling information from people who are cognitively impaired. And the FBI is super good at that. So we had requested them to help us with that. Could they help us get an interview, make sure we're hearing what we think we're hearing, make sure is this real? In fact, we were like, is this real? Right? For the same reasons you're thinking this as a city council member, right? So they were super good at it. They flew someone in here from out of town that's one of their best experts in it. And they came in and interviewed them and had the same concerns we had.
So we know there's been police interviews and FBI interviews. Has there been a forensic counselor that's been involved in this?
That's what this FBI agent's trained in. Yeah, we were going to take them to the medical facilities to do it, but we were advised by them that these people are significantly better, especially when it comes to being able to testify for court for this same stuff. So we went above that, actually.
Was he on any committees that would have put him close to children?
I'm not aware of that.
How was the original contact made? Was it online? Was it in person?
Well, with which person?
I guess the 8 that you know of.
So our first indication started, I said, back in 2021. Those were just him calling in and complaining about youth. So that kind of gets our radar opened up a little bit. The very first actual complaint about it was initially an online message to us. And then we reached out to that person and followed up. Then from there, you just start building a case. One more question?
I know there's been some conflict between the FOP, this police department, et cetera. At some point, I know Dixon was calling for an investigation, and you know some in the community are going to say that this is retaliatory. How would you respond to that?
Well, I mean, I understand the conspiratorial nature of it. The evidence is pretty overwhelming, and this started long before he was on council. I'm not sure if he was aware that we were looking at him, but certainly we were before he ever became a council member.
What did he do before being on council and put him close to it?
I'm only aware of him working in some restaurants and potentially claims to have been an actor, but that's all I know. Anything? Mayor, you have anything you want to?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out. In fact, before I make my statement, I'm just going to turn that around. Is that fine? And so, one, I thank you all for coming out this morning. I thank you for your concerns and for your patience as this investigation unfolds. My main concern as it relates to this matter are with the victims, for them getting the support that they need, for getting them the assistance that they need, and getting them the justice that they deserve. Given the severity of the charges, given the troubling nature of the acts, given the charges that have been made against Gerald Dixon, I presently believe I am been thoroughly briefed on this matter. I believe that it is in the best interest of the victims. I believe it's in the best interest of this community that Gerald Dixon resign his position immediately with Whitehall City Council and face the allegations and get the justice that he deserves. Thank you.
Anything you can do to force that to happen or force him to step down?
So we're looking into or charter rules, our council rules, to see what options are available.
From the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. President.
For the record, I'm Tom Potter, President of Whitehall City Council. To answer your question, we're currently reviewing our council rules to see what provisions are in there, if that is a available option, and we will be ongoing in that educational process for council and have that figured out here pretty quickly.
Tom, when did you find out about this? About an investigation, at least?
Yesterday, the mayor called me.
So we learned that he was supposed to be sworn in tonight. What happens with his seat or this process now?
Well, the process would still move forward if, in fact, he showed up and that, he was there for the swearing in, then he would get sworn in, unless some other action were to take place.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. And I have, if anybody didn't get a copy of this, let him know. We'll get you extra copies. Not a great topic for us to be talking about, but I do appreciate you covering it and the patience from last night till this morning. My folks were out for, some of them were on this for almost 16, 17 hours. And it just wasn't a good timing to do something like this in the middle of the night. So thank you again. I appreciate your time.
You mentioned the victims. How can they contact you, or how can they do this privately?
Just call the department. They can get it right off our website and ask for a detective. Just ask for a detective.
Chief, one more quick question. What was his reaction at arrest? I mean, I know that you said he was arrested without incident, but did he seem surprised? Did he seem resigned?
From what I'm told, he seemed very calm. Very calm. I want to know why there were so many people. That was the main question he had.
Did he admit to it at all, or say
No,
anything?
he knew where. He said, I believe he said he knew where it was going. He wanted an attorney, which is his right.
Do you know when he's appearing in court for the first time?
Should be today. Should be this morning.
And you believe all of the victims, juvenile males, no females?
All males. All right. Thank you.